Welcome to the Nutrigenomic Nation podcast with Brian Highfield, certified nutritionist, author, speaker, and founder of multiple successful companies in the health world. Brian is known for educating healthcare professionals and others on improving their health and their life through breakthroughs in nutrition, technology, and biochemistry. On the podcast, Brian interviews thought leaders in the world of nutrition and natural health. He and his guests share the secrets of a whole life natural approach to health and the life-altering results you can get by making easy changes to your diet and daily routine.
Well, welcome to another episode of Nutrigenomic Nation, where we talk about topics related to your genetic health. So welcome to the program. And we have with us today, we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Jacqueline Gutierrez. Dr. Gutierrez is a board certified doctor of natural medicine. So welcome to the program, Dr. Gutierrez.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Brian.
Awesome. So we want to get to know you a little bit. So what can you tell our audience about your background and what made you want to get into healthcare in the first place?
Well, in a nutshell, my dad died when I was 9 years old and he had cancer. And I never really thought about it growing up, but I was definitely a bit of an emotional wreck. And my family was very disconnected. My mom's side of the family, they're very just emotional, and I found myself in a very dark place in my 20s, and it led me to really seek purpose in life and what I was really supposed to do with my life. Besides, I found myself cocktailing in nightclubs in Las Vegas, and it just, I knew something was greater for my destiny than that. And that's when I feel like it was kind of like Jesus saved me and pulled me out of that mess. And I went on an adventure around the world trying to figure out what I was really supposed to do. And natural health just landed in my lap. And I just feel like it ties everything back together of how my father passed away, and how I'm able to help others have that second chance in their health.
Awesome. So I know you and your husband created the Wellness Trinity, and so that's your business and a way to connect with potential patients and folks that may be suffering. And I know you do a lot around brain health with that. Can you talk about a little bit about what the Wellness Trinity does in terms of brain health?
So my main flagship program is Cerebral Detox, and when thinking about what I wanted to focus on with people's health, I really was drawn to mental health because, like I said, my family was a bit of an emotional wreck, and I always was trying to figure out for myself like how to get balanced. That, and also I just found it fascinating when I started learning about the chemistry of neurotransmitters and how serotonin is made with certain amino acids and things like that, and how much it affects people's physical well-being. And a big part of why it also was alluring to address people's neurotransmitters and other aspects of mental health on a biochemical level was because I found that I could tell people all the healthy things in the world and they just wouldn't do it. Some of them. I mean, some people are very motivated, but I'm like, how come I can sell all these supplements to these people and give them this great program and then they just don't do it? So I was like, I have to figure out how am I going to get in their head. So that's kind of the first idea of how all that gave birth. And then I find the brain and the mind and our spirit and everything that goes into how we think very fascinating.
So what's involved with the cerebral detox? How does that work?
Well, we're addressing everything on a mind, body, spirit level when we're doing this. So in order to really heal your brain and mental health, you have to look at the whole body. A lot of times in holistic health or health and health care in general, we're segregating things. So I'm big on making sure that someone is fully detoxed, because if you have things like parasites, this can literally make you go crazy, and everybody's dealing with this. It's just really about how much. Certain types of parasites can make people even promiscuous. So it's really crazy how these bugs can make us feel out of control. And then there's another idea of like, well, why do people have this in the first place? So we have toxicity. So the detox part of it is really addressing the biochemical level, making sure we're dealing with any type of imbalance, infections, chemicals, toxins, but also making sure we're dealing with the nutritional side of it too, and making sure your nutrients are depleted too, because even things like B vitamins, you can feel schizophrenic if you don't have enough B vitamins. So that's the physical part of it. The mental part of it, a lot of what I'm doing here with my clients, I found myself not choosing to, but really working a lot with their emotions. And when we're talking about emotions, yes, there's a biochemical part of it that really can make people feel off balance, or on the other side, feel really good. But there's a lot of people that will go and take that step, and then they realize they're still not feeling good, or they're still not mentally well, and there's something else. And that's when you discover frequencies. I don't think frequencies are usually the first thing that people are looking at. And so this is where, when we talk about emotions, we're dealing with emotions on a frequency level, because everything, the whole body is vibrating at different types of frequencies. And when they're off, it creates chaos in the body. And so what do you think this is going to do to your whole body and your brain? So our emotions are completely linked to this. And if some type of emotion is coming up, then we can go back and figure out what are associated imbalances with the body code, or we can use emotion code and address that. And there's other means I use. I use biofrequency scanning and biofeedback systems and things like that to address that as well. And then there's a structural component. So I don't really do a ton of that, but in my program, I have a background in personal training. And I do teach people how to train their body, because if we're structurally off, we can cause blockages in our body. And if we're talking about the brain, you can literally have blockages to your brain. So if you don't have enough blood flow, for example, to your brain, then your brain is not going to operate right. And you can grow pathogens like fungus and other types of things in there. And it's not going to work right either.
So talk more about emotions. I mean, what's the relationship between the emotions that we have and those frequencies you're talking about, and then how does that affect our health? Can you help clear that up a little bit?
So when I talk to my clients about emotions, I do a lot of muscle testing here. I do other types of tests, but when you're in this field long enough, you start to realize what people are doing that are getting results. And muscle testing kept coming up when I'm like, okay, that person's getting good results, that person's getting good results. So I really found myself diving into a lot of muscle testing. And one of the things that I do is figure out what is off on a chemical, emotional, and structural level, as I kind of explained. So how off is it on a scale of 1 to 1,000? And what I explain to people when I get to that emotional component is it's literally like another word for frequency. So anytime I write emotion, we're talking about frequency. And we'll literally go through all the chemical elements of the person, of what type of parasites you have, bacteria, etc. And the more that I dive into someone, I'll give them a percentage of what is the emotional component. And when I do this, again, I'm telling them this is the actual frequency part of the problem. So you might have a parasite show up, this amount, but maybe 50% is actually just a frequency problem versus an actual infection. And so basically, to answer your question in a nutshell, it's pretty in my work, it's pretty simultaneous with frequency, the word emotion.
Okay. And so what, so you're talking a little bit about the treatment. So how do you treat those different afflictions, whether it's an emotional frequency or whether it's a parasite or something like that? I think you mentioned like a nutritional aspect as well, but what else is there above and beyond that?
Well, it just depends on what is showing up in the person. Usually when somebody comes to me, it's never just one thing. And so there's not a quick fix in holistic medicine, especially the worse that someone is, the more that it can take. And then there's several different layers. So when we're talking about the physical part of it, there's a lot of herbs. I use all food nutrient supplements. And so it's very targeted nutrition in that way. A lot of the herbs are used to detox. I use a lot of bioactive carbons. I use a company called Cellcore Biosciences, and they're the detox company. And my clients are seeing very incredible things coming out in the toilet when they do this type of detox. But in order to, like I said, in order to keep all those crazy things that we see coming out of people, aka parasites and funguses and candidas and all that kind of stuff, you have to address the frequency part of it, like I said. So that's where in the emotional wellness plans, I do different types of services. There's the emotion code and the body code. Have you heard of that?
No.
So the emotion code and the body code are, it's a program that Dr. Bradley Nelson had come up with. And you muscle test to figure out either if you're doing the emotion code, trapped emotions. So it's literally a chart of emotions that we're looking for. And we release the frequency of this emotion in the body with magnets run along the governing meridian. So the governing meridian runs between our eyes here, and it goes along the back of our head and down our back. And in the way that quantum physics works in energy, you can do this all remotely. So all my clients are actually remote. Nobody sees me in person. And when I'm doing this, I basically take the proxy of them. And it's, the only way I can explain this so it doesn't sound kind of woo. Actually, there's a couple ways, because I promise you it's not. It's just how energy works. So the equation of energy is mass times the acceleration of light. There's no distance in that equation. So a lot of this is based on intention. It's just like, another way to explain it is just like how prayer works. How can we pray for someone that's miles and miles away and they can have the effect of that, right? So it's a similar idea. And in fact, I'm praying through the whole time I'm doing that too. And then the body code, it takes it a step further, and there could be other frequency imbalances. It could be that maybe you're exposing yourself a little bit to a certain color too much. It could be, you can literally just have the energy of a certain pathogen that's going on, and that can come up. You can have other types of toxins, or you can have a lot of different types of energies coming up related to the frequency imbalance that's going on. So the body code helps me to muscle test and figure out what is going on more with that. And you do the same thing in releasing it with magnets along the governing meridian. Then the other thing that I've been doing is biofield tuning. And biofield tuning uses tuning forks. And so we have this biofield around us. And where are these memories getting trapped, right? Where are these, when they say trapped emotions? Well, it's in our field. So our field extends about 5 to 6 feet out from us. And this has been known for thousands of years. It's the beginning of time that we have this field. It's just that modern medicine doesn't talk about this. So we have to look even outside our body. I mean, this is like the new news for me in the last year, but so profound for my clients to have breakthroughs, like lasting breakthroughs in their work here. And so we literally take tuning forks and different harmonizing frequencies, and we comb the field, and we use there's different chakras we have. So these are nerve energy centers. Again, that word can get thrown out of context, but it literally is a bunch of nerves in our body vibrating in a circle in certain different areas in our body. And so we tune the field based on the different chakras. And then the last thing I do in that is the Zyto Evox. So it uses this hand cradle, and you can do it for the health coaching sessions too, and you can figure out all kinds of stuff that's going on in the body. But it literally sends frequencies right back into the hand. So we record the voice, and it sends it right back into the hand, and then also uses light therapy on the eyes and sound therapy as well. So it's very targeted. Like, you have this, and I'm sending this. It's biofeedback. It sends the frequency right back to you.
Very cool. I saw something on your website called a brain tap. What is that?
Oh, well, it's just like this idea of the e-box I was explaining, but it's something that people can do on their own. So I usually recommend that people get that, because you're not going to be doing services with me every day. So it's kind of more my idea of an ongoing support with this type of thing. And even when someone gets their emotional frequencies down to 0 and it's not affecting their health anymore, it's still going to be able to program your body for success every single day. And there's different programs for different things. I use mine for business. I've used mine for health. There's whatever it is that you feel challenges in life. It's amazing how when you address it on a frequency level, it actually can remove that challenge, so you can have breakthrough a lot faster than what you think you could.
Very cool. Now, in the beginning, you mentioned, some nutrients for the brain. You mentioned B vitamins. People could be deficient in that. What other type of nutrients should people be paying attention to ensure a healthy brain?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because one of the biggest things that we're being robbed of in modern society right now is oxygen. And it's just so key for the brain. The body, first of all, is about 65% or so oxygen, and 20 to 25% of that goes to our brain. So it is the most abundant nutrient, and our brain needs the most of it. And if you don't have enough oxygen, then you're literally starving your brain of the most abundant nutrient that it needs. And this is why circulation to your brain is very important too. So if you have kind of a kink in your spine, or you have even problems in your teeth, it can cause lack of oxygen in your brain. There's ways that you can get this, and there's ozone therapies and things like that. But I use a supplement called hydroxygen, And it's a liquid form of oxygen that it has bioactive carbons and some other ways that they make this stable. And you can put it in water and you can drink it, and you can use it topically and use it other ways. You can nebulize it. You can put it in a neti pot. So there's other ways to get it, especially if you try and get it fast in the brain too. But it absorbs sublingually, so it'll absorb right away.
Awesome. So one of my favorite questions to ask all of my guests is, let's say that you're in a stadium, there's tens of thousands of people that are interested in improving their health, and you're handed the microphone. What is the most important thing that you can say to all those people to make sure that they are mindful about being proactive about their health, and what should they do?
I think the biggest thing that people need when they are dealing with some type of health challenge or crises is hope. And I know that's not like the physical thing that everyone's probably looking for, but like I said, I've given people all the great tools in the world. I mean, I've researched and tried every single thing you can think of that to get to the point where I'm like, this is gold that you have in your hand. But if they don't have hope, if they don't believe that they can get well, I can give them all the stuff that they need to do, and it's useless. So, but a client that has hope and that's willing to go, like they need the desire, to get well. But if they have that desire to get well and they have hope, then the tools are there. I mean, it's there. You can heal. It's just that people sometimes get in their head or they have a detox reaction. They're like, oh my God, I'm regressing. And I'm like, no. When you're taking these herbs and things like that, sometimes this can happen. Unfortunately, we try to remediate it, but the mindset is so key. And I think you're really big on mindset too, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that reminded me of a conversation I had with a doctor one time. He was telling me that that's his first conversation with with patients. Is he asked them if they believe that they can get better, and he says, if you don't believe you can get better, then I can't help you. Anything I do is not going to help you. So that really that I think it's absolutely unequivocally true. Exactly what you're saying. That mindset is huge for someone's healing. Well, how can our audience get in touch with you or connect with you and find out more information about everything that you do?
So my website is thewellnesstrinity.com. And don't forget the in front.
Yeah.
THE. And you can also find me on Instagram. I do a lot of work on Instagram now. It's definitely one of my favorite social media. So it's the Wellness Trinity again, but it has underscores in between the words.
Awesome. And you have, I think, some podcasts and some different articles available on your website. Is that right?
Yeah. So I paused the podcast, but there's a ton of shows up there. I've been really blessed to have some of the most incredible people come on there in holistic health. But I do go live every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. on Instagram. So that's where it was kind of like I paused the one on YouTube, and it extended now on Instagram. I might get back on YouTube at some point, but I'm mostly more active on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, we're almost out of time, and we want to thank you for being with us, Dr. Gutierrez. So today's guests have been Dr. Jacqueline Gutierrez, a naturopathic doctor. And so thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you so much for having me again.
And for our audience, we hope you join us next time when we talk another topic related to your genetic health. So thank you again, Dr. Gutierrez.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.